Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is Season 5 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Mi gente, now, I know some of you longtime listeners have heard me talk about our next guest a couple of times. We were chatting before the interview started, and so I'm not blowing smoke when I say, like I told him, the word icon gets used a lot. He's an icon. He's got over 200 credits on his IMDb. He is the best kind of icon because it is a low-key icon who never fails to deliver. It is my immense pleasure to welcome to the show Tony Plana. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Like me quedo corto. Like I'm giving all these praises, and it's just I feel like it's not enough.
Listen, I maybe we should talk every day.
I'll send you some recordings,
because,
some daily affirmation type.
Just make my day. Most of us, like I shared with you earlier, we kind of operate in a vacuum. We go on a set, we do the work, we go away, we wait for the next project to come. I've been fortunate that, even at my age, they keep coming. Yeah. They keep happening. And I'm really thrilled about that. A friend of mine said that they keep coming because my competition is either retired or dead.
Well, as long as you're not the one killing them, then that's okay, right? I mean,
that's right. I hadn't thought of that. Maybe he was accusing me of that.
Right. I'm like, bro, because I'm Cuban.
By the way, that's not true. It's a very pessimistic perspective. Yeah, I mean, and look, I still love it. I've been doing it like over 45 years,
And you look great. I mean, you don't look like somebody who's been in the business for over 45 years.
Okay, so you're my new therapist.
Well, you have my number. You have my number. Just
yeah. Well, just do a little half hour every day.
I'm here for it, sir. So, I wanna transition into kind of kicking off the chat, because one of the big things that we're all about on our show is the reason we really started in a way is representation. We think it's very important to have representation, whether it's, Black, Latin, Asian, LGBT, pick one, right? But it's very necessary. And while most people probably would instantly recognize you, I think, as, as the father from, I was going to say Betty La Fea, from Ugly Betty. My origin story with you actually goes back a lot further into the 80s. I've said this story before on the show that you, after like Desi Arnaz, were one of the first Latinos that I remember seeing on screen in an episode of The Golden Girls, where you played, I think, a detective at the murder mystery weekend, no sé qué cosa.
Yes.
But I remember seeing you on screen, and I mean, at the time, I was maybe like 9, 10 years old, right? Like, I was young, so I couldn't necessarily articulate, but I remember seing you, hearing your voice.
By the way, you look great.
Thank you. I moisturize every hour on the hour.
I gotta try that.
But I remember.
Text me what you use.
No, I'll give you the whole regimen. It's, sometimes you just gotta sleep in a bowl of oil of Olay.
Lord have mercy.
But no, just when I saw you on screen, just and this is gonna sound weird, but it's like your face, your voice, your almost manner of speaking, maybe because it was also set in Miami, but there was something about you, and obviously this was way before the internet, that said to me, like, he looks familiar to me. This is someone who I know in my life. You could be my uncle, my cousin, like, and again, at that age back then, I don't think representation was as understood as it was now, or, necessarily a topic of conversation. But I just wanted to say thank you for that, because that's honestly like the first time I noticed you, and to this day, every time I see that episode, I get like happy, because it's one of the times that I saw me, right? Like I saw my people, my family, my community, like, oh yeah, no, that guy couldn't articulate it then, but that guy is Cuban, like me, like my grandparents, like my family.
Yeah, and those are few and far between.
Yeah,
And
So I mean, honestly, I just want to say thank you.
No, it's an ethnicity, an American, hyphen ethnicity, Cuban, that is not featured very often. So that was a treat because it was Miami. He was Cuban, so I was able to use that kind of, distinctive Cuban body language, and also rhythmic language.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that was kind of fun, because you just tap into your roots. You tap into the way your father spoke, your uncles, your friends, your cousins. So,
And if you don't know, you don't pick up on it. But if you do,
no,
like
exactly.
I do,
No. It's distinctive. It's distinctive, and so it's always an extra pleasure. And I think I shared with you earlier that I've been playing several Cuban characters lately, and it's been kind of like, home sweet home. I'm in that sweet spot. Like, an actor I was working with the other day said to me, "Yeah, what's that accent?"
I get that all the time, dude.
And I said, well, that it sounds so specific, right? And I say, well, that's because it is.
Yeah.
Because you're hearing my father. Yeah. Okay, that's who it is, right? In terms of speech patterns and English pronounced a la Cuban. Yeah. And so it was great because he was like recognizing the specificity of it, right? Yeah. And so it was really great to get that kind of feedback. And so he was kind of like, admiring it, right? Because I think sometimes people play Cubans that don't have the same kind of accuracy.
Yeah.
Not to say that I have the same accuracy as others do when I play other ethnicities, but
that's fair.
But that, to be fair, but there was something about it that he recognized as real,
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, you've been in the business for a minute, for a while.
Yes.
How have you seen that grow, or have you? I guess would kind of to present it both ways, right? Because I would imagine when you started off, it was either you're going to be a Mexican or you're going to be a Mexican. Like, I feel like that was the option when it was the Latino character, right?
It was very funny. Just Ugly Betty's story. Mm-hmm. So we'd already done the pilot.
Right.
And we got picked up. And so we're already into episodes.
Right.
And they haven't quite identified our, specific Latino ethnicity.
Well, because you had three different ethnicities. You had three ethnicities between the leads, right?
Yeah. We had Puerto Rican, Italian, Honduran.
Yeah.
New Yorican.
De todo un poco,
Yeah, I mean everything, and then Organization of American States kept parading through the door of different people, and so what was interesting is that we weren't getting an answer from ABC as to where do we come from? I know she wears a poncho, but big deal,
Right.
She went on vacation.
That was played
on vacation to Guadalajara. Big
Exacto,
deal.
yeah.
So it didn't mean anything. So we started calling ourselves genericans. Okay? So we're just generic Latinos. We're genericans.
I'm picturing now just a very slow motion movie with you, America, and Anna just walking in slow mo, and it's just like coming this fall, the genericans.
Genericans.
The genericans.
We use accents you've never heard before. It's like, okay. So it was very interesting. And guess what? Of course, the default, as you mentioned earlier, was Mexican.
Right.
Because, whether you like it or not, and I like it because I'm married to a Mexican.
Right, yes. The fabulous Adamaris.
Well, I say that I had to marry. Yeah, I know. I love her too, for a long time. So, I say I had to marry her to survive in Los Angeles. So I could fit in. But that's not true. Just kidding. But so it was just interesting to see how, and and they wanted to appeal to the widest, largest demographic
Business decision.
of Latinos watching, right? So even though we're in New York, although I take it back, because I thought back in the day when I first visited New York in the 70s, there were no Mexicans in New York. You couldn't even find a Mexican restaurant.
Right.
Now you can't even bump anybody without running into one.
Yeah.
It's a complete. I mean, we moved here to New York to do Ugly Betty 14 years ago.
Wow.
So I'm a born again New Yorker.
You're born. What kind of baptism does that require? I don't even want to know.
It's called snow, brother. Snow.
All right.
Yeah.
That first blizzard.
It's called put on your long underwear, you idiot. You're gonna freeze. You know. So, but we kind of like, it's funny, a lot of the younger people in my family who grew up on the East Coast are now on the West. Mm-hmm. The grass is always greener, and my kids who grew up on the West are now in Chicago and New York.
Pero pasando frío, like.
No, but you emphasize freedom because you're a Cuban and you're prejudiced, but we love the seasons.
That is true.
Las temporadas.
That is true. We do. Yeah.
So beautiful, man. I mean, when the leaves turn here in upstate New York, it is amazing. It's a kaleidoscope. It's amazing. It's like
No, I hear. I lived in New York for a few years. I completely know what you mean.
And then like now the spring, you see the crocuses pop up, and the all this beautiful green is starting to come in, and then in about a snap of a second, boom, it's all green.
Yeah.
And super dense. So there's just something, LA, the difference in weather is, do I wear a sweater or don't I wear a sweater?
Right. Or how much of a sweater?
Yeah. How thin or thick should the sweater be?
Right.
So it's different. But, listen, I grew up in LA. I was born in Havana, left when I was 8 years old.
Oh, okay. So you were old. You were old enough to have a memory.
I was old enough to have learned how to read and write and speak Spanish.
Right.
So I think that's still with me, thank God, because I really enjoy being bilingual. And I read it and I write it, and it's great. I love it. Not as good as if I had stayed till the 6th grade, but I write it. I fake it. So
as we say, te defiende.
Te me defiendo, sí. Más o menos. But I was born in Havana, left when I was 8 years old, lived about a year and a half, almost 2 years in Miami, then moved to California.
Okay.
Primarily because of work. There was no work in Miami. Yeah. Miami, of course, as you know, was a cow town.
Sí, no. It was a farm.
No había nadie.
Yeah.
No, it's like, people went to the beach.
Yeah, it was beach and monte.
Exactamente. And so, I'm a California Cuban. So, so I grew up in LA and surrounded by other Cubans, by the way. We had our own.
We know someone who you went to school with, her sister. I don't know if you know. Well, I know her with her married name, Martha Darby.
Yeah. So what's
her sister's name? I don't remember, but I know she told me, she's like, yeah, Tony was in the same the same grade as my sister, and
yeah,
so there was a little Cuban enclave.
We had our own Cuban sports club.
Oh yeah.
By the way, we got kicked out of 4 different bowling alleys.
What did you do?
La bulla, my friend. La bulla. And then it wasn't just the bowlers; it was the entire extended family.
Oh well, of course.
So we just overwhelmed the place so the gringos couldn't get in or didn't want to.
They're lost if they didn't want to.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a cultural experience that you never forgot.
I would imagine.
And you know how loud we are.
What?
I remember,
loud us? Nah.
I mean, I remember my high school friends when I went to an all-boys Jesuit high school in L.A., Loyola High School. And they would come over to do homework, and they would come over for dinner after school. And after dinner, we'd go back to my room to do the homework. And inevitably, they would say, hey, Tony, what was everybody fighting about? And my father was just discussing the weather. Porque las nubes que estaban hoy imponentes. Like, it's like they think, my God, it's like World War III is happening.
Yeah.
And they're just talking about the weather. So, yeah, so we are loud people. Not everybody. We have our introverts, but in general, the general, climate is hot Caribbean. You know? And so then I met my wife there. We got married, raised our children there, and then it was an amazing transition because we moved to New York when my son was entering college, and he wanted to go to Columbia.
Oh, wow.
So he went to Columbia University, and then my daughter was entering high school, and she went to a performing arts public school. So it was perfect. And, we took to New York like,
Ducks to water.
fish in water. I mean,
That's awesome. And I mean, so I think it's great that you brought up, the California of it all, because that's one of the things that we've always said on our show is at this point, we've been around for 5 years. We've talked to sufficient people from all across. And whenever we do talk to, as we lovingly call, the West Coast Cubans, California Cubans, there's still, even though, there's certain differences, right? But there's that culture, but the culture still like, it's like it is strong in this one, it comes through no matter where you drop us. And I think that's fantastic. I mean, that's just crazy to me, but it's so beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it's, as you know, it's a very robust culture. Yeah. I mean, I always laugh about the fact that when the Russians came to communist Cuba, their work production doubled because they were drinking Cuban coffee.
It's how I get through the day. Okay, let's not
look,
pretend.
It's a lot more conducive to work than vodka.
This is true. I didn't think about that. You're right.
I think it's one of the reasons why they're losing the war over there.
Well, hello, if you're drunk all day, how the hell are you going to do anything?
Listen, I shot a movie in Russia.
Really?
And I think alcoholism is pervasive.
Well, if I had to live in Russia in that weather and just everything looks so dreary, especially like
post-Soviet
bloc.
I think the Soviet had no sense of aesthetic pleasure.
Well, no, because it wasn't about aesthetic pleasure. It was about
it's all functional.
It's functional. It's the community. It's it's
like
right.
We must. It just serves one purpose. So anyway, and I love the Russian people. I mean, I met some wonderful people, but the men lived till like mid-50s.
Yeah, if they were lucky.
If they're lucky.
If they were lucky.
Because I took train rides with them, and it was all vodka all night long. They didn't even sleep, and they were just playing poker and whatever, and they just kept going the next day. Just had a cigarette and let's go to work.
Jeez Louise. No. So I mean, I can't function that way.
No.
At least not out of my 20s. Maybe in my 20s I could have.
Yeah. Drop it.
Right. Like maybe drop the age a little.
Better. But yeah, so Cubans, yes, we are a strong culture.
Yeah.
And it stays with us, and it's handed down, I think, genetically. I really do. I really do think that.
Well, I think a great case for that being made is actually you were part of the One Day at a Time reboot, which of course has a very special place in our hearts. Throughout your career, what I loved is you've gone from comedic to I mean, I'm just gonna say it, tremendo hijo puta on Desperate Housewives. To there
you go.
You've done it all. But I will say I feel like One Day at a Time, you were on maybe a handful of episodes, but you played such an important role because you did play the I can't remember your character's name, but the deceased father of Penelope and Lydia's husband. You kind of got to do a little bit of everything, right? Because you got to, hit those funny sitcom notes, but then there was also that pathos, there was that nostalgia. I mean, did this seem like the role was almost tailor-made for you? Because
yeah, and listen, here's the amazing thing. The most rewarding aspect of working on that was working with Rita Moreno.
I mean,
I mean,
Of course.
I sent her a little message because she just put together an amazing documentary about her life.
Yes, I can't wait
I
to
don't know
see
if you've seen
I
it,
haven't
but
yet.
it's extraordinary. But I remember sending her a message congratulating her on the documentary, and then I signed it, to my Anita from her Bernardo, because that's how I felt, because I got to joke with her, I got to romance her, I got to dance with her.
I mean, that alone is worth the price of admission.
And
Dancing
let me tell
with Rita
you,
Moreno.
look, she doesn't hide her age. She's 20 years my senior.
Yeah.
And she had twice as much energy as me.
Oh, yeah. I always say that all the time. I'm like, she's 90. I want her energy now at my 43 years old. Like,
Right.
Please, can I siphon a little bit off of her?
No. And also her acumen, her mental, her cognitive ability is just amazing.
No,
She's
está
so
completo.
cogent and articulate and sharp and funny. I mean, says something about dancing. Look, you and I should just take up dancing right now.
Is that what we're gonna do though in place of the 30-minute therapies? Because I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, we can just do a video call. We can put on some Celia Cruz. We'll be fine. We'll work it out.
We can start with Zumba.
There you go.
I want
There you
to see
go.
you. I want to see you do some Zumba, bro.
I don't think you do, man. Because I got some short shorts. I don't know. That's
Well, that's what I'm saying. It'll be a comedy.
okay. Then we're in.
It'll be a comedy. No, yeah. So you're right, and they came to me with this role, and I just was so grateful to have that experience, and there were moments of great pathos.
Yeah. Oh no.
There's that moment where I think she has a stroke. I believe she has a stroke, and I come to visit her like it's time for her to come.
I couldn't stop crying that episode. It's like
Well, the audience, we filmed it live, so the audience was crying. We could hear them sobbing, because when she says, "Not yet,
right.
not yet."
Yeah, no, and that was around the time that I had just lost my grandfather, and it was just a whole like you were there tugging on all my heartstrings, and it
Man.
was like
no. Listen, it was hard for us to get through it with a dry eye.
Yeah.
Okay, it was really poignant, and I just adore her. I hope she lives forever.
I think she will. I think she's found a secret of immortality. If anybody has, it's Rita Moreno.
Yeah, exactly. She's just like, okay. And she's just always so I mean, that's, I think, a key to longevity is active, physically, emotionally, mentally, and with purpose.
Well, it must be working, man, because, here you are, in front of me, and you are still going strong. I mean, let's face it. There are people in their 30s who would love to have your career, like legit, because you don't.
That's a lot of work in their 30s.
That's they don't
would
sleep.
Be tired.
They're those Russians who drink vodka and the cigarettes all day. That's all them. But dude, because you never phone it in. That's the thing with you, that I'm always.
Oh no!
I
don't know what
so impressed
I don't
by.
know what that means. I don't know what that means.
Like seeing your name on credits, like guest star, Tony Plana or I always know I'm getting just everything. Like I get excited. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get a hell of a great performance. Like,
well, that's the greatest compliment, brother, because I do put everything I have into what I'm doing.
It shows.
And sometimes the material helps me, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Or you're halfway there, whatever. But no matter what, and listen, it's funny because through stereotyping, throughout the years, and we can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. For sure.
But you learn how to take mediocre material and try to bring something human, dimensional, something nuanced.
Right.
That gave some dignity to this character, or this kind of what's the word, redundant stereotype.
Right. Which I'm sure you have had to play your fair share of, especially starting out.
Well, I say a joke, and my friends who hear this will cringe because they hear me say it many times. I said, I've played every Latino stereotype except for the pregnant teenager.
There's still time.
That's what I'm saying. Good makeup artist, good wig.
With CGI nowadays, they can make it happen.
Shave. You know,
A wax. I'm thinking a wax for
I think a full facial wax.
Yeah.
And then start from scratch or something. You know, but yeah, so I take great pride, not to say that a lot of other actors I work with don't.
Right.
I mean, they do. And listen, there's been times when I haven't been able to connect as much as I would like with a character, or maybe I try my best, but my performance maybe isn't what I would have hoped, or whatever. You know, we're human, we're flawed,
Right.
we're not perfect. You know, it's one of the reasons I love doing that show, Ugly Betty, because that was the essential theme of that. No. Everybody should not look like an anorexic, extremely photogenic creature. No, that's not.
That's not life.
It's not relatable. It's not relatable.
Yeah.
You look at it, it's like eye candy, and then just whatever.
It's pretty, but that's not reality.
Pretty,
yeah.
but there's no substance, right? So, so I think that to me is what. Look, when you realize that you only get so many opportunities, and I've had more than most, thank God. You got to take them seriously.
Right.
So you've got to bring everything you have to the party, to the work, and then hope for the best. But but also I think working a lot hopefully makes you better.
Yeah, it's like anything with your craft, right? You have to hone your craft, and that's the only way to do it. And I mean, to this day, you've got we were talking beforehand, you've got projects upon projects upon projects that are happening, constantly. I mean, you had one.
It's crazy.
Was it
crazy,
end
man.
of last year? You had one come out. Was, oh my God, on Netflix. What was it? Damn it, with Mira Sorvino and Martin Freeman.
Oh, that one is called Startup.
Startup.
Yes, love that. And I got to work with this wonderful, cute, young Cuban, female actor. Odmara. Odmara is remarkable. Gorgeous, talented, fearless. It was just, again, had this kind of, recognizable Cuban streak to her.
Right.
Like, I'm Caribbean, get out of my way.
And was she from Cuba, or was she Cuban American?
I think she was born in America, but she's of Cuban, extraction.
Yeah. Again, sure. It's just funny to me how strong that is. It comes through. I've never been to Cuba, and yet when I open my mouth in Spanish, people are like, "Where are you from?" Because it's like I know that's not generic Spanish. I'm not one of the genericans, to use your your phrase from before.
So I mean, listen, I take every job as a blessing and as an opportunity, and I want to leave behind good work.
No worries there, man. I mean, let me put that worry to rest, to bed. Let me kill that worry if I have to.
Thank you.
It's not just that it's great, that you never phone it in, but it's that you've done so much of variety. And,
well, I tell you, that's
and
one
damn
of the things,
you're good at all of them.
Well, thank you, but that's one of the things I'm most proud of. The fact that I've been able to be as versatile as I've been in the work, and that I've been able to succeed in different genres, and adapt to it. And I tell you, people ask me, why do you think that? Look, it's a lot of it is just a God-given talent, but also a couple things. One is theater.
Yes, theater's a big thing. Yeah,
doing theater is where you really hone your skills. Don't kid yourself. For young actors, do as much theater as you can, because you have to perfect that muscle, that craft every night to make the thing happen.
No second takes.
For real, every night for a new audience. So, and then the other thing too is the Cubanness. You know, I think we have, not to say others don't, but we have this very intense work ethic. You know, and a certain pride. You know, a certain intensity and commitment that we bring to what we do. That I think again, it's embedded in us culturally, at least in our very specific way. You know, you know.
But you're right, because I always say, you know, I always say some variation of like, you know, mi abuelo didn't come to this country, you know, for me to basically be a screw up. You know what I mean? Like they didn't give up, my people didn't give up everything they had for me to be here and not try and not, you know, put that effort. And I don't know if I'm sure it's a Cuban thing, but I think there's a certain degree of, you know, the first generation, you know, child of
you know what, and this is across the board on immigrants. First generation immigrants usually experience the most success because they're under the gun. I mean, they've inherited that sacrifice. They carry the burden of the sacrifice of the you know, the parental generation, and so they feel that burden to say, you know, whatever I do, I got to do it well. Whatever I do, I have to succeed to make their sacrifice validated. Of
course,
to honor that legacy that they have handed to you. Because can you imagine? I mean, growing up in Cuba, I'd be doing Marxist theater. You know,
That's true.
I mean, oh man,
wow,
that would be so boring.
That sounds like
not
the
to
worst.
mention that there are some theater. By the way, I've seen some theater from Cuba that has been very good, especially when they reinterpret the classics, and when they reinterpret the classics in a way that is subversive to the existing regime.
Right. Yeah.
But it's folded into, you know, the classic. You know.
Right. See, but también we're talking about now. You know, back when you would have started, it would have been that, like, you know, just toe the company line, right, situation.
Yeah, I mean, you know, forget it. So that's always, you know, all those. I think all those factors coalesce to kind of give you that impetus.
Yeah.
To do well, because you got that. It's part of you. You know, I saw how affected my father was by the revolution, and how affected he was even more by the exile.
Yeah,
it was not pretty, and I think that generation, our parents' generation, took a toll, whether they admit it or not. Some were very successful, but still, they took a beating.
Oh yeah,
a real hard beating, and yet a lot of them pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, or the next generation did. And here we are. So, you know, it's no accident, I think, that so many of us have managed to succeed. You know, but again, it's endemic to first generation.
Yeah,
you know,
no, absolutely.
Because you got that impetus of, we're going someplace else for something better. So here it is. Take it. Do whatever you can with it. So, you know, you need to accept that. You know. That baton.
I'm not going to be the one that lets everyone behind me down. Like, I'm not going to be that person. So
exactly,
100%.
You know, it's a combination of all that, but I think you know, theater has a lot to do with it, and I love it. So it's the first reason why I became an actor. I didn't become an actor to be in the movies or TV.
Right.
But when I came out of drama school and came to Los Angeles, I looked around and I looked at the statistics in theater, and they were hiring Latinos at 2% of all employment. Then I looked at, you know, film and television, 3%.
It's not much more, but
not much more. But guess what? It pays a lot better.
Right. Yeah.
So if I'm going to work for a couple of $100 a week, I might as well take a job where I make, you know, 10 times that a week.
Right.
And I'm able to survive instead of like looking for the next handout doing theater. So, it's something. And
with film and TV now, you have something to show. You have physical, because theater is fantastic, but
it's
once it happened, it
evanescent.
happened. Yeah, exactly. It's
It's
gone.
evanescent. It just spoof. It's gone. And so, and also in terms of retirement, I tell this to young actors all the time. Even though you love the theater, you've got to find work in film and television and put that money into your retirement fund.
Get that SAG
Because
going.
most people cannot survive on Social Security.
No, especially not if you're an actor and doing theater.
And the Social Security or the whatever retirement you're going to get out of the theater, you can maybe buy a cup of coffee with, unless you do a lot of Broadway, and even then, I don't know, but it's much more difficult. So you got to think about that long term. When you get to be my age, you get to a point where you don't know when you'll be able to keep working or not. So I think it's important to think about that. I told you I don't look back. I live in the present, but I'm so glad that my choices have led to a situation where I will be okay, and I will not be a burden to my children.
That's a big one, and I know that's a parental concern, right? Or it should
Absolutely. be. No, not on my watch. So that's why I say you have to diversify your media as an actor.
Yeah.
So that you can survive longer, better.
Yeah. No, and Tony, I will say you've done that, sir, in spades. Because I think lo único que te falta is to do a soap opera, at this point. And you know what? With 200 credits, maybe you have done one. Maybe you've done a novela. I don't know, right? After a while, I'm like, man, there's just too much to keep going through. But
well, yeah. I don't know. A soap is a grind.
It is from what I've
what I've been
told.
Oh, brother. Oh my God. I think they're doing several episodes in one day. And they don't even have time to learn dialogue, so it's all in your ear.
If you get 2 takes, you're lucky.
So I'm not sure that's in my bucket list.
You could do it, por favor. You could totally do it, bro. Pero Tony,
I think I would find an earlier grave.
Okay, well then don't do it then. If that's the case, then don't do it.
I know. I'll let others do that.
But no, Tony, thank you again so much for coming by and chatting with us, man. Like, I honestly, I know, and if people who've listened to the show know this, I've mentioned you by name several times. You are one of those people that I like I've told you many times on this interview. When I see you on screen, I light up. You bring me joy watching you perform. And now that I've had the chance to speak to you and get to know you, and we're gonna have those Zumba therapy sessions that we're gonna coordinate.
Ish, that was a joke. Okay.
Damn it! No, it's on recording. We have it on recording. Facts don't matter anymore. It's where we're gonna.
some people get the joke and some don't. What can I tell you?
But honestly, it's one of those. You've lived up to just what I thought and more, sir. And thank you for representing us as a community so fantastically for your career. And I don't ever stop, please. Like, just I know I'm being selfish.
Listen,
I'm being selfish, but don't ever stop.
That's gonna be up to God. I'm gonna die with a script in my hand, or about to say something important.
Oh, that'd be great. That's like. We'll never know what he was about to give us. Like, it's the ultimate.
It's like Cyrano de Bergerac, and as I end the refrain, thrust home. Gone, out of here. So, yeah, but listen, thank you for the compliments. Listen, it's very sweet to hear them. It's the highest compliment when it's not about me or my personality. It's about my work.
Right.
And so. I really treasure that. So I appreciate that very much. And I want to thank you for your patience. I know it's been a while trying to make this happen, but it's been kind of a crazy ride.
Sir,
since
pandemic. You are worth the wait. All right?
Thank you.
You are more than worth the wait.
I hope so.
All right. Bueno, oye, again, thank you. Te lo agradezco de corazón. Like, un abrazo.
Muchas bendiciones, un gran abrazo. a tú y a tus oidentes, ¿cómo se dice?
Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah. Yeah, oidentes.
Oidentes, televidentes, oidentes, y pa'lante, you know?
Absolutely.
I'll see you on the tube or the screen, man.
Absolutely, man. Take care. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.